This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Hello there. So with our beloved metal fences no longer being indestructible in Build 42, I decided that it was high time to do a brand new list of base locations that you would be able to survive in when Build 42 rolls around. The inspiration for these came from your comments on my previous base locations video, and I thought these were just too good not to showcase. But before we get started, let's quickly go through the criteria that I used when selecting these. Firstly, they have to be relatively safe, have good access to resources, be relatively easy to barricade, and most importantly, not heavily reliant on metal fences for defense. I will leave links to all of these base locations in the description below. With that out of the way, let us begin. Our first stop on our tour is none other than Riverside, with our first location being the Riverside factory warehouse located to the west of Riverside. No, not the gigantic factory, I'm talking about the one just below it. Being a warehouse, you will most likely have access to a load of building materials to barricade the place with as soon as you arrive. You have plenty of space to park multiple vehicles, very few points of entry to block off, and even rooftop access to plant crops and water collectors. Finally, being so far out of town, you will have very few wanderers coming your way after the initial clear out. Top that off with a gas station within walking distance and a storage unit for a Jenny spawn, and you're quite literally set. If you are looking for a more rural feel with a bit more open land for you to live out your Stardew Valley fantasy, just to the east of the warehouse are two farmhouses. Very few neighbors will bother you here, and you have ample space to plant crops, a forest right outside for planks, and are very close to Riverside itself for loot runs. You will have to rely heavily on water collectors though, as there isn't a lake nearby, but that's a minor inconvenience. Next up, believe it or not, is the post office in the heart of Riverside. Honestly, this is actually a pretty solid location. Sure, being in the heart of town can have its downsides, mostly just a large number of zombies, but that's not an issue once you've done some housekeeping. You have plenty of space to remodel the offices to your liking, can even knock out the wall on the second floor to create a balcony for farming, and can even knock out the stairs leading up to the second floor to create a very safe base. You have a small forest just above you, the Riverside shopping lane just down the road, and the river a short walk away for fishing. A-tier location, in my opinion. Moving on to a location that's a bit far out of Riverside, but hey, if you want safe, this is one place where you will get it. Northwest of Riverside is a cluster of stores. The general store here has a living space on the second floor. You have a tackle shop for fishing tackle, a massive forest for all of the building materials that your black little heart could desire, and even a small gas station down the road for some fuel. Its only downside is that it's quite far away from loot locations, but is good for secluded rural playthroughs. Stop. Survivors, it's time for War Thunder. What's that, you ask? Well, War Thunder is possibly definitely the best vehicle combat game ever made and is available for free on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Mac, and Linux? Eh? War Thunder has over 2,500 vehicles ranging from tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, spanning over 100 years of development to choose from. For all you history nerds, War Thunder features the most sophisticated damage system ever seen. Shoot someone and you'll get this cool X-ray view showing you exactly what happens. Get shot in the turret? No more pew-pew. Get shot in the tracks. You're dead in the water like a Thanksgiving turkey. Everything is modeled down to its individual components, and that is cool. Join over 70 million players all slugging it out in the incredibly realistic world of War Thunder. Join them by using the link in the description right now. Still not convinced? New and returning players that haven't played in the last 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms, which gives you access to multiple premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium. All of this can be yours if you use the link in the description. Better act fast though, it's only here for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now. I'm watching you. Last but not least is a location that doesn't often get talked about and sure is one that I wasn't even aware of, and that is the CGE Corporation building. CGE Corp is a dilapidated warehouse located southwest of the general store. If you can look past the broken down aesthetic, or maybe that's your thing, you have a massive factory that is a blueprint for you to build however you want. You can knock out walls to create a sprawling farm on the roof, have more trees around you than you will know what to do with, and have plenty of parking space for hoarding vehicles. Sure, for one person this is a bit much, but this would make an amazing base for multiplayer with a few friends. Plus, not too many Zeds to deal with, so it's pretty safe. Alrighty, next up is everyone's favorite beginner town, Rosewood. This one will be a bit shorter than the Riverside list, as I feel you do tend to outgrow Rosewood quickly due to there not being much to do in it. But if you're looking for a change of scenery from the fire station, I hope some of these inspire you. First up, we have the apartments located above the Mama McFudgingtons next to the bank. Up here, you effectively have 4 apartments to do whatever you'd like with. Merge them all into one, knock out the stairs and use sheet rope for extra safety, or build a bridge to the offices above the bank to further expand your Roman Empire. Granted, you won't have easy access to the roof to put down water collectors and such, but you can get there with some maneuvering. Plus, you have the shopping lane right next to you, so it's easier to haul supplies back to your base rather quickly. Next up is the gas station in Rosewood. These typically are surrounded by Zeds, so once you've used some elbow grease to clear them out, you will have an entire gas station to call your own. That means near unlimited fuel because those tanks are freaking huge. A nice cozy living area above the gas station shop and easy access to the main town. Moving further out, we have the farmhouse just to the north of the intersection coming out of Rosewood. This one favors a more rural playstyle, and as such you will live a relatively quiet life out there. With decent area for farming, a nearby forest for building supplies, and close-ish proximity to town, you'll be well off here. And finally, our last location in Rosewood, and that is a house near the Rosewood bus station. This one has a lake nearby which makes it good for fishing and easy water access. Coupled with a decent forest, a gas station within walking distance, and even your very own garage to park your car in, it's a good location if you're looking for a quieter life. This brings us to Muldraugh. Good old Muld. A nice central location that does make for a good base of operations if you tend to go out to other towns regularly. We start off with a location that isn't actually in Muldraugh proper, but quite a ways north by the Pony Romo. More specifically, this farmhouse here. It's isolated, sure, but you do have access to a well, a tool shed with a pretty decent chance for a Jenny spawn, plenty of building material and farm space. It's so rural that it's probably one of the safest places on this list. Just make sure that you have a decent working car and some supplies before you head there so you can minimize unnecessary runs for essential loot. Bringing it back closer to Muld is the gas station to the east of town, close to the Dixie trailer park. Unfortunately, this one only has one floor, so fortifying it properly is vital. But once you've done the customary neighbor purge and got some fortifications up, you've landed yourself a spot which is close to both WestPoint and Muldraugh, a fat with a pH amount of gas, and of course building supplies on hand nearby. Next up is the Rusty Rifle Tavern at the bottom of Muldraugh. This one is like the smaller cousin of Twiggy's in WestPoint, but still a very good choice for a base spot. Being on the outskirts of town, the zombie population will be less bothersome, especially because you are away from the Muldraugh main road. You have easy access to alcohol for Molotovs, my least favorite weapon, and a gas station just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Not to mention the equivalent of the Amazon rainforest in trees right on your doorstep. It's worth a look. Alrighty, so the next two are some added extras that I decided to include in here, and you will see why in a moment. First up is a location that a few people know about, but then again, some haven't heard of it yet. I'm talking of none other than the Muldraugh relay station located to the north of Muldraugh. So I did say that these base locations wouldn't be too reliant on metal fences, but as far as we know, hordes will be able to damage metal mesh fences only in build 42. That may change of course, but until then, this one is worth checking out. You have the extra strong metal fences surrounding the area with only one way in that you could very easily barricade. Inside you have 2 trailers that you could even join up and plenty of space to construct your compound however you desire. Even if you don't make this your main base, it's a very nice place to retreat to when things get hairy, as you can very easily lose problems in the forest surrounding you. Last but not least is a late game focused base that I think will be best suited for multiplayer due to its sheer size, and that is the Sunstar Hotel located right in the heart of Muldraugh. Hear me out on this one. You have two main entrances that you can block off, a balcony area and space to lay down some dirt for farming and more if you so wanted. The only downside is that its large living space comes with a lot of fortifying. It's a tall order for one person, but a crew of people can turn it into a fortress strong enough to stand against the horde. Once done, you will have a massive pre-built compound to adapt to your needs. Besides, being in the heart of town means that you can very easily loot around you for the essentials, and the storage units are just across the road from you for generators and tools. Alrighty, now we move on to WestPoint, starting off with a spot that I personally used in one of my playthroughs before, and that is the hardware store. This one is really solid for a couple of reasons. One, it has a second level, which is a living space. And two, you are literally right across from a gas station for super easy access to gas. Aside from the upstairs living area, the store below will likely have a bunch of tools for you to use, seeing as it is a hardware store, making it really easy to barricade. Being central, you are able to comfortably loot in all directions with relative ease. This one is definitely worth checking out if you plan to start your runs in WestPoint. Okay, these next two can go hand in hand with each other, one being the food market and the other the office building right next to it. Let's start with the food market. If you choose this one, you will have a grocery store beneath you as well as a small hardware/gardening store to loot up. Upstairs, you have two whole apartments for you to modify or use as is. If you knock out the wall in the top apartment, you can create a balcony in which you can put water collectors, plant crops, or take pot shots at the neighbors in the street. It is in the heart of the shopping district, so you will have some initial clearing out to do before you can move in though. Now for the office building. So this is where you can choose to either settle in one or the other, or build a bridge to connect both top floors together to create a super safe living space. But for now, if you want to settle in just the office building, this one will require a bit more fortifying than the food market, but you can make it really safe. You have two fire escapes if things do get a bit wild, but these could also work against you, so be careful here. Your best bet is to use a sheet rope method for getting up to the second floor and barricading the fire escapes, but that's up to you. All in all, you have 3 whole levels of space to make use of, with a terrace that provides a really nice view of the neighboring buildings. Do with that as you will. Last but not least, we head over to the one and only Louisville. First on the block is a location that I've heard a few people mention, and that is the AmeriGlobe building. Oh boy, this one is high risk, high reward. The risk being that it's almost entirely made of glass, so it is a pain in the ass to fortify. But if you do manage to get that right, you essentially have a self-sustaining base setup which probably would be better suited to multiplayer. The rooftop has a large surface area for mass water collection/farming, and you even have a water feature nearby for water. On the subject of fortifying, there is a forest just across the road for easy access to planks to do so. One advantage of the AmeriGlobe building is its location on the relative outskirts of Louisville, meaning less issues to deal with regarding wanderers. Shifting our eyes towards the bottom of Louisville is a small fire station. Now this one is surrounded mostly by mesh metal fences, which granted won't be good for build 42, but in the meantime it's worth trying out while we wait. Smaller than the Rosewood fire station, but big enough to be worth setting up in. You have a garage that can comfortably fit 2 vehicles, the chance for the odd axe spawn or 2, a rather quaint living area on top, and a rooftop that you could convert into a balcony. Nearby is a hardware store and some houses to loot, but then again, where isn't there a house in Louisville? Alrighty, the last 2 locations are geared more for larger multiplayer projects, but are oh so worth it for what they provide. The first one here is none other than the Scarlet Oak Distillery. This one is self-explanatory, and while it is surrounded by metal fences, they are the solid iron ones and not the mesh fences. So until more info comes out on what's happening with the upcoming fence mechanic in build 42, I'll stick to my guns on this one. The distillery is a massive project that is suitable for a multiplayer faction even. It's extremely easy to block off from the outside world due to it only having 2 entrances. Other than that, you can model it however you want to. It's right by the river for fishing, and and a forest is across the road for planks. Besides, there's also plenty of things to dismantle inside the distillery itself, so grinding carpentry will be a breeze. The final one is this compound located in the heart of residential Louisville. Securing it is doable by a single person, but it will take some time. You only have to fortify one entrance to stop the hordes coming through, as it is surrounded by high wooden fences. Inside, you have insane amounts of living space for large groups of people and even farming space in the central courtyard. This one is definitely worth a look in my opinion. And that's it for the base locations. But before you go, make sure to check out today's sponsor, War Thunder, and blow up some tanks. Play the game now for free on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation using my link down below in the description. Those of you who haven't played War Thunder yet or are returning after a break of at least 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack including premium vehicles, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days worth of premium. Good luck out there, survivor, and I will see you in the next one.